If you've never built a house before, you may not be aware of everything that's involved with the electrical walkthrough. The truth is that the electrical walkthrough process is long and it's grueling and very tedious. There's tons of things to think about and plan for, and you're going to want to give it a lot of thought before you attend the electrical meeting. In this video, I'm going to give you some of my best tips and tricks for how I handle electrical walkthroughs, as well as getting you started on a checklist for all your electrical needs, including a bunch of things that you probably haven't even thought of. So let's get started. What to bring with you. First, make sure that you bring your checklist that you've been working on and any questions that you may have or things that you want to discuss or talk through. That should be listed on your checklist so that you make sure that you cover everything before you leave. I personally bring a clipboard with me with my checklist. I also bring pen and paper for note-taking. What I like to do for my clients is take notes on anything that we've added or removed, basically any non-standard personalized requests. Then after the meeting, I type up these notes and send a copy to my client, one to the on-site agent, and then a copy to the person who conducted the electrical walkthrough. To me, this is a very important task. This way, everybody is on the same page, and if there's a misunderstanding, you can get that cleared up early in the process. Also, there's just written documentation of what's supposed to happen so that when we do the next walkthrough, if it's not done as expected, we have proof that what we discussed didn't happen and there's no argument about it. Remember, there are always things that are going to be missed, and it's not a big deal as long as they make it right and without incurring a cost for you. So in addition to your checklist, make sure that you bring a measuring tape and any dimensions of furniture that will impact the electrical placement. For example, if you're doing sconces on either side of your bed, you're going to want to make sure that you have the measurements of your bed frame and the end tables so that you can make sure that everything is lined up properly. So now that you know what you need to do and what you need to bring, I'm going to go over everything room by room and give you some ideas and talk about some of the things that can easily be overlooked. Hopefully, this will give you a strong starting point for your electrical checklist. Number 1, the exterior of the house. I like to do outlets on every side of the house. They always come in handy. Also think about your front and your back porch lights. Some people do lights, but a lot of people like to use ceiling fans to keep the bugs away. Think about an outdoor television if that's something that you're going to want to put in. Some people put it over a fireplace, but it doesn't have to be as long as it's covered. It could be on any exterior wall. Think about floodlight placement. It's very common to have them by the garage, but also think about garbage cans and pool equipment that you're going to have to access at nighttime. If you're a gardener, consider landscape lighting. If you're into sports, consider sports court lighting like a basketball court or a bocce ball court. Also, think about soffit lighting that goes right up there in the soffit, which really helps if you're into hanging Christmas lights or string lights. And then if you do that, definitely make sure that you put a switch to those lights on the inside of the house so that you don't have to go outside every time you want to turn it on or off. Also, think about whether or not you're going to be installing an outdoor kitchen. If you are, run electrical to that spot, and also make sure that you can get a gas line as well as a water line. That all will make it much more affordable to install your outdoor kitchen whenever that time comes. Number 2, the garage. First of all, make sure that all 4 corners of the garage are properly lit. I recently did a walkthrough with a client of mine, and for some reason, the builder only allotted for one little can light to light the entire garage. So we had to add lights for all 4 corners just to make sure that she could, use her workbench or, access her breaker box at night. So that's something that you really, really want to think about. Also, think about where you want to put the breaker box so that you have easy access. If, something trips and you have to go out there and reset it, you don't want to be having to look all over for it. Something easily accessed will help you out in the long run. Also, if you have an electric car or if you're even thinking about getting it, I would go ahead and have a 240 40-volt outlet installed. And if you have a double garage, put it in the middle so that both cars can access it. It will definitely be a game changer when it comes to charging a car. Doing it with a regular outlet is way too time consuming. Also, are you gonna have a cordless vacuum cleaner? A lot of people put it in the garage or maybe the pantry or a closet. Definitely plan for that. And if you don't have one, you definitely need to get one. Number 3, the living room. Are you going to have built-ins in your living room, and do you need to have outlets in them if you're going to use one of those photo frames that need electricity or a little lamp? Do you need task lighting or book lighting within those built-ins? Think about floor outlets. Are you going to have a console table behind your sofa that's going to have a lamp on it and potentially need some electrical or an outlet below that? Also, think about your TV. Where are you planning to put it? Are you going to do a flat screen on the wall or over a fireplace? And if you're doing that, also consider running the tube that houses all the wires and runs it through the wall to the bottom so that you don't see all those wires coming down from your television. Also, if you are thinking about getting a frame television, consider putting an inset in the wall there so that it can house the actual hardware, the brain of the television there, and it doesn't have to go behind the television to where it makes the television protrude from the wall, and kind of like it takes away from the whole idea of having a frame television, which is to make it look like a piece of artwork. Of course, always consider your furniture placement and whether you're going to be putting end tables on either side of your sofa, because if you are, you will most likely want lamps there, which will need sockets. Number 4, bedrooms. Ceiling fan pre-wires. Now, even if you're not a fan of ceiling fans, I suggest you go ahead and get it pre-wired, because at least that gives you the option if you change your mind and you decide you want one down the road. Also, think about whether you're going to be doing pendants or sconces on either side of your bed, or if you're just going to opt for a lamp. Now, if you do decide to do pendants or sconces, I suggest that you have a dedicated switch on either side of your bed within reaching distance to avoid you having to get up and shut off the light when you're about to go to sleep. It's very convenient. I've done it now in my last few houses and I've grown to love it, and I don't think I would ever go without it at this point. So it's something I highly suggest. Also, think about television placement in your bedroom. Are you going to need any insets? What wall do you want to have it on? And also think about your closet. You may need some can lights in your closet, or you might need some lighting in your built-ins if you decide to put that in later on. Number 5, bathrooms. It's recently become very popular to have outlets installed in your drawers and inside your cabinets for toothbrushes and hairstyling tools. If you can have, or if you decide that you want to have overhead lighting in your bathroom, you're going to want to make sure that it's not directly over your head and that it's positioned more over the mirror or on the wall. Otherwise, you're always going to look hideous in that mirror and you're never going to want to use it. Also, are you a person who wants to have a bidet one day? And if you are, you're going to want a power source by the toilet. Do you like heated floors, or do you want a towel warmer on the wall? All of that needs to be planned right now. Do you plan on having a backlit mirror so that you can do your makeup? Consider that when you're figuring out where to put your electrical. Number 6, the kitchen. Your island should always have outlets. Think about pendants over your island as well as sconces if you're doing any open shelving. And if you're investing in a really nice backsplash, or even if you just don't want to see outlets in your backsplash, consider doing outlets underneath your cabinets or inside of your cabinets. Under cabinet lighting is something that a lot of people love, so consider having that installed. And don't forget to have a drawer with outlets so that you can have a charging station in your kitchen. That is always a plus, and people love that. Outlets inside of your cabinets so that you can hide a toaster or a coffee maker in there. That has been very useful for me, and I love having that. Also, consider having an additional outlet under the sink, just in case you decide to do an air switch for your garbage disposal, or potentially add a hot water tank. If you end up doing an outlet in your backsplash, I think it's a really good idea to inset that outlet. So if you're planning to put a small appliance in front of it, like a coffee maker, you can push that coffee maker right up against the wall so that it's flush as opposed to sticking out by the size of the cord. That will actually give you some more counter space. Also, think through your pantry. Do you plan to use small appliances in there? So if that's the case, you're gonna want to add some additional outlets as well. Number 7, general needs. Are you planning to have a security system or do home automations? If so, you may wanna consider where you wanna have your panels installed. Think about your outlets. Some builders give you options on having your outlets installed vertically, horizontally, and sometimes even in the trim work so that it kind of camouflages it. So that's something to think about as well. Also, give some consideration to your light switches. Think about the lights that you want on dedicated switches or what lights can be grouped together all on one switch. Also think about where you want those light switches placed so that it's easily accessed. I remember in my first custom home that I built, I was very young and I had the switch installed behind the powder room door. For some reason, I'm not even sure why the builder let me do that, but I guess I wasn't considering the swing of the door. I assumed that it would swing this way and it ended up swinging this way. So for the rest of the time that I was in that house, I'd always have to go into this powder room, close the door, and then feel around in darkness until I found the switch. So now that's something I always look at when I'm building a house. I make sure that I figure out which way the door is going to swing and that I can easily access the switch from outside of the room. Also, think about wall sconces. You can add wall sconces everywhere just to highlight different parts of your house and make it very interesting. Remember that you don't have to buy the light fixtures from the builder in order to get the wiring done, because they can just put the wiring there and then cap it off, which makes it really easy for you to install a light later on down the road when you find the perfect one for that spot. Also, if you're into art, think about picture lights. I think those are very charming. Think about dimmer switches. Also, are you planning to have electric blinds? You'll need some power for that. How about your staircase? I've seen it recently where people are adding lighting to the treads, which looks really cool. But if that's, too expensive, you can also have it going up the staircase, and that looks really nice as well. One last tip. Once all the electrical is wired before the drywall is hung, it's always a good idea to take pictures and video of everything so that you know where the wires are and the plumbing is located behind the wall, because once the drywall is up, you're not going to remember where everything is. So later on, when you go to make a hole in the wall or put an inset or add some shelving, you know what's behind that wall and you don't do anything to disturb the wires or the pipes. Well, that's everything I could think of as far as what I've encountered and learned from my past experiences building homes. But please, if I've forgotten anything, or if you think of something that could be beneficial for our listeners, please go ahead and leave it in the comments, and I will make sure to include it in one of my upcoming videos. I really hope that this video was helpful for you and that it kind of gave you some insight as to what to expect and what things to prepare for and think through before you attend your electrical walkthrough. This is going to be part of a video series taking you through step by step of the new construction process. So if you're in the process of building a house or even thinking about it, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And of course, if you are interested in moving to Atlanta or interested in buying, building, or selling a house in the Atlanta metro area, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. My name is Tanya Cristiano and I am a local realtor. I specialize in relocation and new construction, and I would love to help you find or build your dream home. Well, that's a wrap for the electrical walkthrough. Till next time, bye now.